granted to express forms of creative and artistic works. And the same with the patent, this gives the owner of that particular expression to control who or if he or she sells that work of art, then he has that particular right, so he's protected. You cannot just copy any works of art. Okay. Examples of these are publications, movies, music, artwork, software, etc. So the main difference between patents and copyright is that patent is more of an idea, okay? Whereas the copyright is already the expression of the idea. Like if you just say telephone is just an invention. It is you can create many kinds of telephones, okay? But what you protect is the idea of the telephone, which is the transmittal of audio through analog cables or analog signals. Okay. So with copyright, it's text or written form or artwork. With artwork, it's the statue or a painting, okay, and it's copyrighted. Now, trademark is the distinctive sign which is used to distinguish products or services. And examples of these are business logos, business names. So, if you have those marks, then they are. If you want to protect it, protect your intellectual property, what you do is you trademark it. You protect the brand or the logo. Okay. So. Basically, those are the main differences or types of intellectual property rights. Here in the Philippines, our intellectual property rights is governed by Republic Act 8293, which is also known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. Now, the IPR is managed by an office called the Intellectual Property Office. The main office is in Manila. Now, what are the highlights of the Philippine IPR system? Basically, this law was passed in 1997, and before that, the patent system was recognized. Though the first inventors, or the first inventor of a particular intellectual property, but now they change it to the first to file system. So if you have your own work of art or intellectual property, and then you did not file for a patent, okay, then somebody can steal your ideas, okay, through this new law, which is you need to file your patent or trademark with the Intellectual Property Office. And then derivative works must now have permissions from the owner. So if you have a picture and it's copyrighted and you want to use that picture, then you must have permission from the original owner. Okay? And then you cannot sell that, your new derivative work of art, if you don't have permission. So it's very restrictive now. But of course, these restrictions can be surpassed, okay, with a license. And I'll explain later how licenses can give you additional rights, particularly the users. So, with regards to patents, our intellectual property code does not allow patenting of computer programs or software, mathematical methods, and scientific discoveries. They are not patentable under not part of your official function in that company, then the intellectual property belongs to you, okay? Not to your employer. But if your employer is the one who directed you to research on a particular intellectual property, then the employer owns the rights to that intellectual property. For patents here in the Philippines, if you are granted a patent, then you are protected for 20 years. But after the first 4 years, you need to renew your patent. If you don't renew your patent, then it can be voided. Okay, so that's the rule. I think it is a safeguard for some patents wherein the inventor is no longer interested. So you're protected 20 years, but you need to renew after 4 years. Okay, with regards to copyright, you are protected once you create your work of art or your speech, your any expression of ideas. It's automatically protected. Okay, you don't need to register. With patents, you need to register with the Intellectual Property Office, but with copyright, you don't need to register to the Intellectual Property Office. Okay? You are protected the moment you create anything or an expression of your intellect. Now, the same with patents. If your company pays you if it is part of your work, then your company owns the copyright to your work. Okay. But if not, it's not part of your terms of reference, then you own the copyright to your work. Now, in terms of protection, basically, it's 25 years for applied art and 50 years for other forms. Okay, so 25 years and then 50 years for other forms. Okay, one current issue which was actually discussed in the mailing list is about software patents, okay, or the method of implementation of computer process. Okay. Examples of the software patents are Amazon.com's one-click shopping patent, wherein they filed a case against Barnes and Nobles, which has a similar system in their web-based shopping application. And Amazon won. Okay, so there's no one-click shopping system from Barnes and Noble. But actually, Amazon only enforces that patent against big companies. Okay? But still, Amazon owns that patent. Now, another one is the Iola's browser plugin patent, wherein Iola's, a small company, sued Microsoft because Microsoft's Internet Explorer was using the plugin system. Okay, if you want to watch multimedia, then they use the plugin system to play that multimedia. Microsoft lost in the case, but Microsoft made workarounds. That's why Internet Explorer doesn't anymore use the plugin system. Okay, they work around that. That's why more often than not, what pops out when you click on a multimedia is that a